Greetings. My name is Cheryl Wissa, and I'm the National Diabetes Initiative Chair for the Student National Pharmaceutical Association, also known as SNAFA, and I would like to welcome you to Part 3 of the Life is Sweet, Savor It, Patient-Centered mini lecture series. This mini lecture will cover eating healthy on a budget. A few words about SNAFA. SNAFA is an educational service organization of pharmacy students whose purpose is to plan, organize, coordinate, and execute programs geared towards the improvement of the health, educational, and social environment of the community. We are dedicated to the pharmacy profession and serving the underserved. A few words about our guest speaker. Dr. Regine Belliard is a clinical pharmacy specialist in ambulatory care at Johns Hopkins Community Physicians in Greater Dundalk, Maryland, and she is also an assistant professor of clinical and administrative sciences at the Notre Dame of Maryland University School of Pharmacy in Baltimore, Maryland. She is board certified in ambulatory care pharmacy, and her area of expertise includes diabetes management. She is pleased to serve as a resource for you today. Without further ado, Dr. Regine Belliard.
Thank you. I look forward to speaking with everyone today about the flavors of eating healthy on a budget. The topics that we will cover today will include treats for your taste buds, calling all carbohydrates, what's for dinner, and finally, we'll discuss some tips and tricks to eat healthy on a budget. So first, let's discuss treats for your taste buds. Food has three main types of nutrients, which include carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates provide you with energy by turning into blood sugar. If you eat too many carbohydrates, they can also turn into fat, which is stored energy. Proteins do not contain sugar. And fats provide you with energy as well. Fats are high in calories and turn into body fat if you eat too much. Eating healthy meals means that you have a good balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Next, we'll discuss calling all carbohydrates. We'll talk about how carbohydrates affect your blood sugar. There are 4 different types of carbohydrates. These include starches, sugars, fiber, and non-starchy vegetables. First, let's discuss starches. Starches are a kind of carbohydrate that turn into blood sugar and can affect your diabetes. Grains are a type of starch and include foods like oats, barley, rice, quinoa, cereal, bread, and pasta. Starchy vegetables are also a type of starch and include foods like peas, corn, beans, lentils, potatoes, squash, parsnips, plantains, sweet potato, and dry beans. Starches increase your blood sugar when you eat them, and so that is why there is a caution sign there. We need starches for energy. Some starches are better than other starches. When you eat starches, you should try to stick with whole grain starches. Whole grains are nutritious and have vitamins and minerals, and most importantly, have fiber. Whole grains are usually brown in color and include things like whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat tortillas, and crackers. Brown rice, wild rice, bulgur, whole rye, whole grain barley, farro, and quinoa are other examples of nutritious whole wheat starches. You should try to avoid foods with white flour, like white bread or white pasta or white rice, and even very processed cereals. These foods are not as nutritious as the whole grain version and can make your blood sugar go up. Another type of carbohydrate are sugars. Sugar adds sugar to your blood. So when you eat sugar, your blood sugar can rise, which is why there's a caution sign here as well. One type of sugar is natural sugar. Natural sugar is already in foods like fruit and milk. Even though you do not add sugar to fruit or milk, they already have sugar in them, and when you eat fruit and milk, your blood sugar can go up. Another type of sugar is added sugar. When there is added sugar in foods you eat, your blood sugar goes up. Common foods that have added sugar include things like sweets or teas, candy, and desserts. But there are a lot of other foods that have added sugars in them, especially packaged and processed foods. Some other foods that you may not be aware that have sugar in them include soda and juice, energy drinks, ketchup, peanut butter, breakfast bars, cereal, salad dressings, and yogurt. Foods like pasta sauce can even have sugar in them. There's a caution sign there, so you should limit how much you eat of these because they can make your blood sugar go up. The next type of carbohydrate is fiber. Fiber is a type of carbohydrate that helps to keep your blood sugar levels down, which is why there's a go sign there. Plenty of fiber is good for your diet. Fiber comes from plant foods. Your body does not digest the fiber, and eating fiber helps you feel full after eating a meal. Fiber can also help reduce your cholesterol levels. Most people don't get enough fiber every day. The American Diabetes Association recommends eating 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. Foods with lots of fiber include beans and legumes. Fruits with skin or with seeds, like apples, peaches, and berries, also have fiber too. Whole grain starches like whole wheat bread has more fiber than white bread. And finally, nuts are also a very good source of fiber. The last type of carbohydrates are non-starchy vegetables. Non-starchy vegetables help keep your blood sugar levels down, which is why there's a go sign there. The more non-starchy vegetables you eat, the better it is for your health. They are full of vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and very low in calories, so eating them helps you to lose weight as well. Examples of non-starchy vegetables include artichoke, asparagus, bean sprouts, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, cucumber, eggplant, greens like kale, turnips, or mustard, mushrooms, okra, onions, peppers, radishes, salad greens like iceberg lettuce, sugar snap peas, tomato, turnips, spaghetti squash, and so much more. What's for dinner? Next, we'll discuss how best to fill your plate and cup when eating a meal. Using the plate method is a simple and very good way to manage your blood sugar in someone that has diabetes. Whenever you have a meal, you should fill up half of your plate with non-starchy veggies. Remember, non-starchy veggies do not make your blood sugar go up. Next, you should fill a quarter of your plate with a protein like chicken, turkey, or fish. Remember, proteins do not make your blood sugar go up. Then you should fill a quarter of your plate with starchy vegetables. Starchy vegetables can make your blood sugar go up. With starchy vegetables or starches and a quarter of your plate as protein and half of your plate as veggies, you're off to a good start. You can also have one serving of fruit or dairy to complete your meal. To quench your thirst, you should avoid drinking soda and juice. Soda and juice have a lot of added sugar and make your blood sugar go up. Drinking water can help to easily remove unneeded carbohydrates from your diet. So water, water, water. If you get bored of water, try adding a lemon to it. You can also find flavored waters at the supermarket, and they can be flat or carbonated. Another option is to add sugar-free powdered iced tea mix to your water. Diet drinks are also a good option because they do not make your blood sugar go up. When you fix your plate for dinner, try to include the diabetes superfoods as much as possible. These foods have a lot of fiber and nutrients in them to keep your blood sugar down and keep you healthy. You can never get enough of dark green leafy vegetables. Sweet potatoes are often less sugary than regular white potatoes. Berries have a lot of antioxidants and fiber. Fish has good fat, and fat-free milk and yogurt help add calcium and vitamin D to your diet. Finally, we'll talk about tips and tricks to really eating healthy and staying on a tight budget. Eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive. The best places to go to the grocery shopping are the farmers market and discount food stores. Discount food stores might vary by location. Oftentimes, it's also very difficult to tell the difference between name brand foods and store brand foods. If you purchase the store brand foods, you can really see a difference at the cash register. The next tips and tricks will be all about food shopping basics. Before you go to the grocery store, you should be aware of some basic key things. First, make a list before you get to the grocery store. Think about what you want to cook and make for the week. You should also think about the staple foods that you're running low on. Organize the list by food group to speed up the process when you're at the grocery store. If there's nothing listed under vegetables on your list, that should be a red flag. Next, eat before you go to the grocery store. If you go while you're hungry, you're more likely to make poor choices. Next, save money by purchasing foods in boxes, bags, or cans. Dried, canned, and frozen fruits and vegetables are often more affordable. If you buy dried fruit, find a brand that does not have added sugar. If you buy canned fruit, look for fruit packed in juice instead of syrup because it has less sugar. Also, if you buy canned vegetables, try to find one that says low sodium or no salt added on the food label. The next food shopping basic is to read the labels and ignore the fancy packaging when you're in the grocery store. Sugar-free does not always mean carbohydrate-free, and so you have to look at the food label to see how carbohydrates will affect your blood sugar. First, when you look at a food label, you should pay attention to the serving size. All of the information on the food label only gives you information for one serving size. If you eat more than one serving size, you have to account for this by multiplying everything on the food label by how many servings you eat. Next, look at the total carbohydrates. The total carbohydrates tells you how much starch, sugar, and fiber are already in the food. One tip is to fill up on fiber and look for foods with little added sugar on the label. The last food shopping basic is to spend most of your time on the outskirts of the grocery store. Most grocery stores are set up in the same way. The outskirts of the store has more whole foods, fresh produce, lean meats, dairy, frozen fruits, and veggies. In the center aisle of the store, you can shop for things that are high in fiber, like whole wheat cereals, natural peanut butter without added sugar, nuts, dried fruit, and canned beans. But most of your time should be spent on the outside of the grocery store. There are some foods that you should always try to keep in your pantry, and you can do so on a budget. These foods are low in cost and help to keep your blood sugar down. So let's talk about stocking your pantry basics on a budget. Canned beans and lentils. These types of food are good to have on hand and include things like black, pinto, or chickpeas. Choose the lower sodium version when possible. Another good item to have on stock is canned tuna in water, not oil, because it has less calories. It's also good to have brown rice. You can store this in an airtight container for up to a year. Whole grain pasta is a good staple, and uncooked pasta can be also kept in an airtight container for up to a year. To make an easy soup, keep chicken broth or vegetable broth and tomato paste around. Sweet potatoes are also a great staple to have in the home. You should buy hard potatoes with no bruising or splitting. You can store them for up to 2 weeks in a cool and dry bottom pantry shelf with good air circulation. Finally, oatmeal is a breakfast food that's easy to have on hand. There are some foods that you should always try to keep in your refrigerator, and again, you can do so on a budget. So let's discuss stocking your fridge, cutting the cold cost. It's a good idea to keep meat in your fridge. You want to try to stick with skinless chicken breasts and thighs, boneless pork tenderloins, ground white meat turkey, ground white meat chicken, or lean ground beef. Meat costs less if you buy it in pre-frozen packages. Frozen meat can be stored for 4 months in the freezer. Another good staple to have in your fridge are frozen vegetables like broccoli or corn, spinach, and peas, or a melody of all of these. Oftentimes, frozen vegetables cost much less than fresh vegetables. Another good item to keep in the fridge is frozen whole wheat stuffed pasta. This makes for a nice and quick, easy dinner if you balance it with plenty of frozen vegetables. Eggs are another staple item to keep in your fridge because they are a good source of protein and do not increase your blood sugar. They can be kept for up to 3 weeks if you keep them in the coldest part of your refrigerator. Lemons and lime add flavor when cooking, and finally, fresh carrots and celery can be added to lots of food and are often inexpensive. There are also some seasonings that are helpful to have on hand, are low in cost, and add guilt-free flavor to foods. So let's discuss stocking your cupboard with the flavor savers. Common seasonings include vinegar, olive oil, low-sodium soy sauce, mustard, salsa, and onions. Try purchasing dried herbs and spices as they cost less than fresh herbs. Diabetic-friendly sweeteners like Equal or Sweet and Low, Splenda, or Stevia can also help keep your blood sugar down if you have a sweet tooth. Any meal can become diabetic-friendly. Here are some simple ways to eat foods that have less sugar and carbohydrates. Instead of pasta, maybe you can try spaghetti squash. The best time of the year to buy spaghetti squash are during the fall and winter because that's when it's lowest in cost. Spaghetti squash has a lot less carbohydrates, often looks like pasta, and can really fill you up because it's full of fiber. Instead of using sugar, sweeten foods with cinnamon. Greek yogurt can replace the sour cream in recipes for baked potatoes or dips or tacos. Use olive oil and vinegar instead of store-bought salad dressing. Cut back on some of the extra sweetness from a banana and use an avocado in smoothies instead for a creamy texture. Avocados are a healthy fat without the sugar. Plain oatmeal can replace granola. Baked sweet potato fries are better than French fries because there is less sugar in sweet potatoes than there is in white potato. Oatmeal with fresh fruit can cut back on all of the added sugar in flavored oatmeal. More substitutions include cauliflower rice instead of white rice, kale chips or roasted chickpeas instead of potato chips, apple and peanut butter instead of cheese and crackers, nuts instead of a snack bar. Perhaps you could try a frozen banana instead of ice cream, dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate because there's less sugar. You can try a veggie scramble instead of an egg sandwich, and cauliflower mash instead of mashed potatoes. If you search the internet for some of these recipes, you will find plenty. There are also some very good resources for diabetic patients to find diabetic-friendly meals. You can find meals at diabetes.org. On this website, there are meal plans. There's also a program called Recipes for Healthy Living. This includes a free e-newsletter with meal plans, cooking videos, and recipes that you can get right to your email address. The last service on diabetes.org is called My Food Advisor. On My Food Advisor, you can set up an account to explore different foods, find recipes, you can create dishes, track your goals, keep a good list, you can store your recipes, and they have different types of recipes that include slow cooker and budget-friendly recipes. Diabetesforecast.org is also another great resource to find healthy meals for diabetes. In summary, healthy eating on a budget requires you to talk to your primary care provider before you start a new diet. You want to make sure that you're on the right track. Try to use the plate method for an easy way to think about how your meal should be set up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The name of the game is to have half of your plate filled with non-starchy vegetables. Next, increase how much fiber you eat. I gave a lot of great examples of foods that are filled with fiber. Fiber helps lower your blood sugar and keeps you fuller longer. Plan for the week. If you plan what meals you'll eat, you'll plan for success. And finally, have fun with all of the recipes out there. These are references for future reference.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Belliard, for taking the time to discuss ways in which patients can pick healthier choices, even if they have a tight budget. Want to give a very special thank you to Walmart and Sam's Club and SNAFA, by whom this web lecture was sponsored. And thank you to the listeners of this web lecture. We do hope that this has been informative and will be helpful in your everyday life and in managing your diabetes. This concludes part 3 of the series.